Hello friends, welcome back. I hope that you are not getting as many notifications as I am right now. Yesterday, I received a request to break down Lay Me Down by Sam Smith. So if you want to listen to me sing that, you can click up here or down below. And in this video, we're going to talk about some tips and tricks, just like a quick little voice lesson on how to sing Lay Me Down by Sam Smith. So let's get right into it. So as I mentioned in my cover video, I left this in the original key so that those of you who might not have access to a piano or know how to transpose it to a different key, you can just sing along to the recording and still be able to use these tips and tricks. With that said, if you do have access to transposing equipment or you know how to do it, I highly recommend doing that to whatever key works best for your voice. Sam Smith is his own little person, and we are all our own little people, and there's no shame in changing the key ever for any reason. All right, so beginning here at the beginning, what a great place to start. And really, this is a theme throughout the entire first verse. The words are very spaced out, and just because there's silence does not mean that you need to breathe. Where you choose to breathe in music is vital to the phrase and how it's received to the listener. So be strategic about your inhales and just be conscious that the direction of the energy, whether you're taking in or breathing out, it does affect how it sounds in the end. So this is a reason that this song is going to sound different for every single person who sings it. And let me just show you an example of what I mean. So if you were going to unconsciously breathe every time that there was space between the words, it would sound like this. Yes, I do. I believe that one day I will be where I was, right there, right next to you. I'm like out of breath now, I was taking in so much. But as you can see, it didn't sound bad, but it sounded very different because the energy was constantly being refreshed instead of sustaining sometimes or pushing or just leaving the listener to exist and not go anywhere. And a good frame of reference to start with would be to listen to Sam Smith and try to listen to what he does with his phrasing. I don't recall off the top of my head what he does, so he might contradict what I just said. Maybe he does breathe on every word. I doubt that he does, but if he did, that's another good example to look at. So after listening to Sam Smith, and before you decide what you want to do, the next suggestion I would say is to look at the lines. Obviously, look at your words, but like where the line breaks and where it starts a new one, that would be the next best place to breathe. And then from there, deciding if you want to sustain more, breathe at a comma, things like that. So there's so many different options. None of them are the right way or the wrong way. They're just all a way to do it. Just for kicks and giggles, I wonder what it sounds like if you just constantly leave the energy in this state of sustaining and never bringing it in or pushing it out. I'm just gonna see what that sounds like. I'm curious. Yes, I do. I believe that one day I will be where I was, right there, right next to you. I couldn't help myself. I did push out on next to you. But yeah, so I guess those are the two extremes, either breathing after every word or sustaining the whole time. Finding a happy medium is what I prefer to do. You'll decide what is best for you. Next, I want to discuss tone quality throughout this whole thing because it's another very characteristic thing that you might be focusing on. So the common words that we've probably heard are breathy or non-breathy. And again, I just want to mention, neither is right or wrong. They're just different styles. You sometimes hear them in context of like, oh, breathy is bad. Like, oh no, you want to sound like a full sound, or vice versa, depending on who you're listening to and talking to and stuff. But look at it with a very subjective eye and realize that neither one is wrong, okay? They each have their place in different songs that you might want to sing. So right here at the beginning, Sam Smith, I would argue, is quite breathy. Now this gets into some deeper like pedagogical things that deserve its own video that I will do in the future. But I just want to mention the words hypofunctional and hyperfunctional, and each voice has its own tendency. So if you tend to sing more breathy, then your voice is hypofunctional. If your voice is more powerful, you have more muscle in your sound, it's hyperfunctional. And the goal with like training your voice is to find the happy medium and balance the breath to muscle approximation. To give you some ideas, Demi Lovato is hyperfunctional. Angelina Jordan is hyperfunctional. Ingrid Michaelson, I would say, is hypofunctional. So with that said, if my voice tends to be hyper functional and I want to make it a little bit more hypo functional to give the breathy quality here at the beginning, things that we could get into that take months and years to accomplish. But a quick little hack, I guess I would say, is I'm just gonna cover the sound with my head voice a little bit and put it in a placement that makes it be a little bit more breathy. So without adding that quality, it would sound like this. Yes, I do. I believe that one day I will be. And I'll also mention, since I'm much lower in my voice, it's going to naturally be a little bit more breathy, which helps. But anyway, here is when I cover it with my head voice a little bit more. Yes, I do. I believe that one day I will be where I was, right there, right next to you. Do you hear it? It's like a very slight difference. It's not gonna be like night and day because this is still the same voice. I'm still the same person, but just to give you some things to play with. And it's hard, the days just seem so dark. So now here in this lower part of the phrase, the moon, the stars, are nothing without you. Oh man, this is really difficult for my high little soprano voice to sing. But as you can notice, and I've said this in past uncovers, I'll say it in future uncovers, if this part of the phrase is too low for me, I will modify the melody so that I can actually hit the notes. So I think what Sam Smith does, and it's hard, sorry, I'm in the wrong chord here, and it's hard, the days just seem so dark. That's what he does, the days just seem so dark. That's a low C sharp. Homegirl can't sing a C sharp. I don't know many females who can. If you can, comment below. The days just so dark. If you can hit that note, let me know. So instead of doing that, I sang the days, again, I'm on the wrong chord. The days just seem so dark. I go up with it instead, so it's easier for my little voice. So the last thing I want to talk about before we get into the chorus is the melody here in the verse and what you can really do with it. So again, this is getting into deeper work with this, but if you just listen to the notes by themselves, if you take out all characteristics and just have the notes and the melody, this is what that would be. Yes, I do. I believe that one day I will be where I was, right there. This sounds terrible, doesn't it? I'm playing one note. It's a B. Yes, I do. I believe that one day I will be. And then we go down a little bit. But with that one note there, speaking of one note, there is an Ella Fitzgerald song called I think it's One Note Samba. So good. Look it up. But so this opening phrase is one note, as I mentioned. And with as many times as you've heard this song, I would venture a guess that some of you didn't even notice it was one note. Yes, I do, I believe. And the reason for that is because the stuff inside the notes, the shapes, and I don't mean shaping as in the phrase, I mean, I'll draw some demonstrations of what I mean right here. Each note is not just a box. Yes, I do, I believe that one day I will be. Instead, they're tapered different ways. Yes, I do. I believe that one day I will be where I was, right there, right next to you. Except maybe sung a little bit more in tune. But I mentioned that so that you can maybe experiment with different shapes that you might want to try yourself. Like yes, I do. I believe. Instead of that kind of shape, let's make it, how would I even do that? Yes, I do. I believe that one day I will be where I was. I don't know what I'm doing anymore, but you kind of get the point. Music is abstract, art is abstract in so many different ways, and the more ways you can figure out how to express it and to notate it, either with shapes, colors, pictures, whatever you use, the deeper the experience will be and the more you'll be able to communicate that with whoever you're singing with. I've spent quite a lot of time here on the verse. Let's jump to the chorus. And there's a little bit more practical advice going on here. So what you want to do, can I lay by your side? The high note is you're going to do it like a slide up to it. Can I lay by? And then it's all going up by a note. Can I lay by your side? It's not a straight melody. It's not, can I lay by your side? It's not like that. You got to do the little smears, scoops, slides, all of those to make it a more poppy, enjoyable song. Oh, I also want to mention vibrato. So this is another phrasing thing that's going to change from person to person. And I will also be vulnerable and let you know, vibrato, whether I'm playing viola or trumpet or I'm singing, vibrato is the one thing that my teachers have always told me, you need to phrase it differently. You're doing vibrato in one weird place and not the others. So it's something that's fresh on my mind, and I want to mention it to you as well. Be aware of where you're doing it and make sure that there's a purpose behind it. Obviously, this is not operatic, so I don't want to do it on every note. I saw a quote one time that said, doing vibrato on every note is like putting ketchup all over music. And I like that. So it's not supposed to be, can I lay by your side? No, ma'am, we're not doing that here. Can I lay by your side? You probably would want to do that. Do straight tone for the 3 high notes. Whatever is going on in my brain makes me want to go, can I lay by your side? So I do vibrato on the 3rd note. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's what I do. It's what I feel. So I'm going to continue to do it until my musicianship evolves and tells me to do something else. Oh, and then another stylistic thing that I haven't been doing in this uncover, but that I think is done in the original, and I think I did it in my cover, but I'm going to talk about it now. Can I lay by your side? It's that little crack or break or yodel, whatever you want to call it, in the sound. It's a break between the chest voice and the head voice. And the goal should be to go up by 1 note. Your side, your, like that. Your side. If you find that difficult to control, it's very difficult to control. So if you break between a larger gap, that might help. You might want to try breaking a 4th, which is a little bit higher, so it's easier for the head voice to like jump in and save the day or whatever. Your side. Melodically, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Your side. But just to train the voice, like how to do the flip there. And then the mini little riff that we do, side, it's just 3 notes and you go back and forth between them. To pull a page out of Natalie Weiss's book, let's start on 3. 3, 2, 1, 2. 3, 2, 1, 2. So then we come to the next little run here, and y'all, it is my favorite thing whenever singers do ascending riffs. I don't know why, they're so much harder to do, but when it's done well, I think Sarah Bareilles does it in some of her songs, and it's just like, ugh, it's my favorite. So this is a pentatonic scale. It's 5 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this note is just another C of the first note. So let's actually talk about this riff. Next to you. You'll want to switch again into your head voice. I get them so mixed up all the time. You'll want to switch into your head voice right there. And where you break into your head voice is going to be up to you. I think I switch right there on the F sharp. You. That's my choice. You could also go you. Would be another choice. And then last but not least, you could go you. Switch right there. It's less noticeable there. Maybe that's what you want. Maybe it's what you don't want. It's your choice. And then the melody repeats, the words change, but y'all can read. And I don't want to be here if I can't be with you tonight. Let's talk about that riff. Tonight. Again, we're just working with the pentatonic scale. So this is an E major pentatonic scale. I mean, all pentatonic scales are major. That's the principle. Tonight. Outlining the E major scale, which is our key. It's the tonic there. And then again, you're just adding in the other notes of the pentatonic scale as passing tones, is what we call it in music theory. And those help to fill in the riff. Tonight. I hope that's helpful. I guess the only thing really to talk about here in the second verse, because pop music, what we had talked about before can apply here as well. Let's talk about this word crazy. This hurt that I've been through. I'm missing you, missing you like crazy. So on this word crazy, you want it to be unsupported because you want it to sound whispery and soft and like there's a sheet. That's what I think of, like there's a sheet in front of your voice that's masking it to not be strong. Does that analogy help anyone? I hope so. So to sing that in my head voice but still supported would be missing you like crazy. And I switch into my chest voice there. But I don't want it to be supported because that is not emotional, you guys. So I'm gonna switch it to crazy. It's very light and airy. You'll probably never sing this song without a microphone for that reason alone. If you're on a big stage and you're singing and you suddenly switch into this like crazy, no one is going to hear you. But the cool thing about pop music and evolving music in general is that we now have the technology to have the quality of those sounds, but still have it be heard. So anyway, I feel like I've been very rambly today. I apologize for that, but hopefully something in this video has been useful and helpful for you. And now you'll be able to go forward and sing Lay Me Down by Sam Smith all by yourself. As always, let me know in the comments below if you have any additional questions about this song specifically, anything I didn't touch on, or any clarification you might need on anything I did talk about, and I'll be happy to answer. All right, so that's just about what are words. All right, so that is going to do it for this episode of Uncovered. Let me know what song you think that I should uncover next. As always, connect with me on any of my socials, or if you want to work with me one-on-one, I'd be happy to. Just send me a DM or an email. All of it is linked down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.